Hey everybody, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notify button so you know when you're getting new episodes. And we just want to grow this project. I thank you in advance. Without further ado, let's get it rolling. The Shout Out Show. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the S.O.S, the Shout Out Show. Of course, this is the Friday Funnies edition. We say Friday's funny. Sometimes it's not so funny, but we always try to keep it real. Housekeeping, first and foremost, if you are coming to the Shout Out Show for the first time, brothers and sisters, I want to tell you, I appreciate you coming. That's number one. Number two, help us out. We just hit a milestone. I want to announce it. I want to thank everybody that's been involved. We hit 100 subscribers this week. Let me say it again, 100 subscribers. That means 100 people said this show is worth something, and I appreciate it. That's the other thing. If you're coming to the show for the first time also, we want to make sure that you know you are now a part of the official Shout Out Show family. You are a Shout Out Show soldier. Appreciate you. Now, for my regular Shout Out soldier folks, I want to give you some love now. And then we have our people. We have Sister Reed's, I want to say Reed's on craft services. She provides the food to make sure your brother don't fall out. And, of course, Sister Satana, she is the consultant producer. Without this thing does not happen. And people like Sakina Mujahid all the way from Charlotte, reaching out, making sure that she's making sure her presence is felt on the show. I appreciate you, everybody. I appreciate all of you. Now, today's Friday Funnies, I felt like I should go out of my emotions a little bit and talk about a lot of things because I've had some things that have been bothering me. Of course, the recent verdict with Breonna Taylor bothered me. It's not so much that it bothered me like it was a surprise. It was the manipulation. It was the use of falsehoods. It was the playing on emotions that bothered me. I feel like this. If you're going to lie to me early. If you're going to be deceitful to me, be deceitful to me early. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I feel like if you lie to me early, you're deceitful to me early, it allows me to investigate exactly what you're talking about, number one. Number two, I can come up with a course of action. As of late, we find ourselves waiting for verdicts, waiting for decisions, waiting for grand jury returns and things like that. And what it does, people, is taking us out of our pocket, if you will, to effectively address change, particularly in Louisville, because Louisville had a lot of protests. And what you had in Louisville was before the decision, they blocked off downtown. They're talking about almost 25 blocks of downtown. You couldn't go there if you lived there. They're talking about restricting political expression. Now, I'm not going to talk about political expression. I'm going to talk about this thing as a whole, if you guys will allow me and bear with me. I'm not a griper, if you will. I'm not a griper. But I thought today was a little important. I felt like today, brothers and sisters, we really need to look at this thing. I want to talk about the top things that annoy me about America right now. Now, if you have your own list, I'm telling you, put your own list on. Put it in the chat box. I'm going to put it on. But I'm going to tell you the top 7 things that annoy me about America right now. This is as a Muslim, this is as African American, this is as a brother, this is as a father, uncle, all these aspects that all of us are dealing with, Aunt Annie's aspects. I'm going to go with number 1. No, I'm going to go with number 7 and work to number 1. So I'm going to try and wrap this up, brothers and sisters, in our usual time, if you bear with me. Here's one that's always bothered me since I was a child. Okay? Reason number 7, number 7 thing on my list of things that annoy me with America right now is America is so much about competition. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. fair market, the invisible hand of the market, Keynesian economics. But the truth is, brothers and sisters, for every black person, Latino person, poor person, I'm telling you, if you're plugged into that system of oppression, America is afraid of one thing. America is actually afraid of competition. When I say afraid of competition, it means they don't want you to win unless they win first, or they can win without you. Therein, reflecting on a conversation I watched in an interview of a young woman who was in the clothing business. She said her mentor told her, beware that everyone in this business, everybody's trying to screw you, number one. And she said, number two, they're not only trying to screw you, trying to figure out how to do it without you. America cannot do it without the people that it oppresses. That's number one. Therefore, I would ask that all the people that it oppresses move back from the system, separate from that system, do your own valuation. I talked to my brother just recently, got off the phone. I talked about, remember we wanted to be entrepreneurs, our own bosses. This is as children. We want to be our own bosses. Why do we say that? Because we watched our parents go through the rigmarole and the stress and the oppression of working for people who if there weren't for legal mandates, they would totally disrespect and cheat our parents. And we saw it in our grandparents. So America tells a lie. Number one, you're afraid of competition. The reason you're afraid of competition is because you can't win in an honest competition. Black people have figured out all the pain that you gave them. We turned it into music. We turned it into art. We turned it into clothing. And you know what they do? They cheat. They take our art. They take our culture. They take our clothing. If I see one more Muslim walking around with a hijab that has a Nike swoop on it, I'm going to find another sister to snatch it off. Because that is what I'm talking about. The reason they're scared of competition is they're not creative. And creativity comes from two things. Creativity comes from a particular type of integrity. And number two, comes from God. Let me go to number 6. The 6th reason why American annoys me right now is this one. American is and remains anti-God and anti-compassion. If you look at the rulings, the laws that are still on the books, the rulings and the laws protect oppressive behavior. They protect the idea that it is a us and a we. It is not a unilateral community. It's them and us. And that them and us allows these folks to have particular aspects of how we're treated and how we're viewed. Number 6 is a big one. Anti-God and anti-compassion. What that means, brothers and sisters, is if you are a believer, if you are a faith believer, you already have a juxtaposition other than being black, other than being religious, other than being a woman, other than that. You have a juxtaposition for a constitution, a Declaration of Independence that's built on a lie. It's built on violations of God's law, and they still keep giving it to you every day, whenever they can stick it to you. You know what they're talking about now? Courses for our children to study patriotism. 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 Not God, not fairness, not justice. Patriotism. It's about a hair short of basically being in 1930, 1940s Germany, burning all library books. And you know what? Brown shirts, brothers and sisters. I said it. Brown shirts. Now, I don't want to go too far because I want to be real careful about what I'm about to say. Oh, we got our crew in. What's going on, Sister Rabina? I'm going through my list. What's going on, Sister Salim? As always, give your ma'am and your mom my best. I hope they're doing well. Haven't seen them in a minute, but please let them know that they're in my du'as. Okay. This is a big one that I'm talking about on my list, brothers and sisters. This whole idea of justice does not come from a religious context. When it does not come from a religious context, you allow a creative space for people to think that, in regards, they're God. The Last Poets had a great song back in the day, and I suggest everybody look it up. The name of the song was The white man's got a God complex. Let me say it again. Last poets, the white man's got a God complex, and they break it down. And the white man does have a God complex, including the white man that's in the White House. And what's dangerous about this, people, is they have in their mind created this scenario where they are the makers, the creators of mercy and compassion. They think they are the owners of mercy and compassion. And it filters down all the way down to white people on their lawn pointing guns at peaceful protesters. Mark my words, it will get worse. Number 5, brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you this. Number 5 reason I'm annoyed with America right now is this one. White people always talk about the law. They know, pardon my spelling, they know the law is unconstitutional. They know the law is unconstitutional. We get played because our elders age out. You hear what I'm saying? Our elders age out. They become older. And then there's a specific type of energy that makes sure there's a breakdown of communication between the young and the old. And the young don't talk to the old, and the old can't talk to the young. And what happens is there's this space, and in that space, people redefine what justice looks like, and they redefine what the Constitution looks like. I said it yesterday, and when I said there's 2 types of justices, it's the one that used to be, they don't want to talk about that, and the one they're trying to establish right now. They're trying to establish a new modality of justice right here. You've seen it with Breonna Taylor. You're going to see it with Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery. You're going to see it with George Floyd. And Keith Ellison is my dude. He's a Muslim. He's the AG. But when push comes to shove, folks, don't be surprised that they have him looking like Daniel Cameron in Kentucky. Mark my words. And the other thing is, I said this, and it may be wrong or out of pocket, but when this election is over, we're still going to be stuck with 2 old white men. We're going to get 1 old white man. We got 2 old white men running right now. And here's the deal, brothers and sisters. No knock on Biden. No knock on Trump. But what I do every once in a while, I would suggest you do, go back 30 years from now. Go back 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Find out what the positions were on helping minorities, the poor, and women. Do that for me. And what you'll find is they don't have a position. Biden sold out our sister with Clarence Thomas. He sold our sister out. Trump sold out everybody. So why are we even voting for them? Why are we even giving this kind of attention? Because they think that we forgot. Well, I haven't forgotten. There you go, sister. Appreciate you. So let me go to my next one. The number 4 reason that I'm annoyed with America right now. Let me tell you guys, America is a beautiful concept on paper. Until you live here. It's a beautiful concept. Until you live here. Until you got to put in time here. Until you, from beyond the veil of the flag and the Statue of Liberty, there's life going on underneath those things. And we have to talk about that. Here's number 4. My number 4 reason why I'm annoyed with America right now is that America justice, I call it America justice, has always provided a safe space for societal cowards and the weak. You can't do anything about Donald Trump because laws protect the cowards and they protect the weak. And you finally got somebody in here with absolutely no credibility, no integrity that goes, you mean I could do this for real? And he's doing it. Every day, he flouts the Constitution in your face. He lets you know it doesn't work for you. You can't touch him. He's a veritable untouchable. He tells you some of the wickedest, craziest things. In fact, before he was president, he did it because he had an idea that America wasn't all we thought it was going to be. Like we knew, but I'm talking about white America. White America has been pimped with a capital pimped. And I'm talking about they've been put out on the stroll on Pennsylvania Avenue. And I ain't calling them hoes or prostitutes, but I am calling them congressmen and senators. I continue. Share that. There you go. Thank you, Sister Salim. She is right. Once you hit a certain level, you're in agreement to execute an agenda you didn't create. Yep. What's the choice? We have none. Sister Satana Ali, you're right. We have poor choices for president. But the story is going to come out. The narrative is that real power happens at the local level. Get to know your politicians at the local level. The ones that are trying to run for those councilman seats, state senator seats, the people who figure out your taxes, you need to keep an eye on them because those are the ones that make the laws for your area. So you do have a choice. You have to vote. That's number one. You got to vote. But number two, you got to vote smart. You got to educate yourself. You have to do investigation. And I'm going to throw it because this is how you engineer. There you go. Sister, she's a fellow teacher. I'm not even going to comment on yourself, but she understands. All of you understands. This is a society engineered by societal cowards. Now let me get back to my countdown here. Number 3, brothers and sisters, and this is the big one. One of my number one pet peeves about this right now is this one. American leadership has no problem in traumatizing its young. They are conditioning our children to be afraid. They are conditioning our children to feel like they're powerless. They are now delving into education to let kids know that we can affect you at the educational level. What does Donald Trump know about curriculum? What does he know about benchmarks? What does he know about rubrics? What does he know about lesson plans? Nothing. And neither does his Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVoy. Betsy DeVoy knows absolutely nothing about that. So let me be very, very clear here, brothers and sisters. You have a system of fools following a fool. Let me say it again. Fools following a fool. And the only reason why they get to be fools is because the head fool knows how to make sure they stay scared. Yes, and I'm gonna touch on that one about celebrating and developing our own political party. I'm gonna get to that one because I'm gonna speak of my mentor about that one. That's right, shock doctrine, fear doctrine. And let me tell y'all something too. This happens, brothers and sisters, at a very crucial time because in elections past, you've had the idea of Hollywood being able to put up some kind of a fight. Hollywood is not in production now. Hear what I'm saying? The mediums that we counted on in the past, the mediums, are not in production. COVID has shut all of that down. You have now production houses just worried about being able to get people to the set to shoot things that make them money, not shoot things that actually decide elections. And this group of people know it. And what you get now is new programming on television. Let me tell you about the new programming on television. It's almost like if there was a new slate of shows, you remember how the fall lineup, like coming to CBS. That's what they say. Coming to CBS, it's new distractions. So you're going to hear about Ahmaud Arbery's trial. You're going to hear about George Floyd's trial. You're going to hear about Breonna Taylor because people are upset. What you're not going to hear about is strategy because we're traumatized. And the air around us is meant to make sure that we stay traumatized. Let me give you guys a suggestion. Ahmaud Arbery, when that video came out, that video had been buried quite a number of months. It just happened to resurface on a radio website, not even the news, on a radio website, and it was taken down immediately. But we get it and we run with it. That case was closed, brothers and sisters. And everything you're getting right now in terms of blacks being shot, because it's a lot of it now. It's like a new program. It's calling Negroes Shot on Netflix or whatever. That's what it feels like. It's meant to heighten the sense of helplessness. Children, let me frame this correctly. I used to teach severely emotionally disturbed children, brothers and sisters. Now, don't worry, I don't teach anymore. Some of y'all are worried. But when I taught severely emotionally disturbed children, I didn't teach children regular education. I taught severely emotionally disturbed children. I felt like it was my calling because before then, I did group home counseling. What I understood in the education system, outside of the social services system, is in the education system, the children that I was receiving, third graders, fourth graders, fifth graders, the children I was receiving, brothers and sisters, at a very young age were traumatized by the education system. They were traumatized. They were in special ed by the time they were in fourth grade. And thus, when you're a special ed teacher or even a regular ed teacher, you find that you spend time trying to deprogram these children so they can learn about opportunity and how to take advantage of opportunity, but also to dream, to have expectations, to have goals, because those are the things that are snatched right now. Those are the things that are taken away right now. This administration has made it very clear. We want you to send your kids to school. How are they going to learn in school if they think they're going to get sick? How are the teachers going to actually teach in a situation that could kill them? You tell me. Or don't tell me. Because hell, I already know. And now we have a president and a GOP, let's call them out. Essentially, they are content on eating their own children. They don't care if they win. Trump is bad for everybody. They tend to think Trump is bad for them, but they can get off the train. No, you're going to ride the train like everybody else. And I'll make sure that you ride the train like everybody else. Children aren't allowed to understand what being well educated means. You're right, sister. You're 100% right. Let me get back to my list here. Reason number 2, I am very annoyed with America is this young lady right here. I never met her. Don't know her. Don't know her family. But here's the deal. It doesn't matter who you are. The fact of the matter is you have a right to be safe in your own home. You have a right to be safe in your own home. These warrants that are served, brothers and sisters, this is an outgrowth of what I told you about the Patriot Act. Remember the Patriot Act? The sneak and peek rule? This is just an expansion of it, an expansion of stand your ground and things like that. And I understand law enforcement, brothers and sisters. I understand law enforcement. But the thing that you also have to understand about law enforcement is fairness in law, ethics in law enforcement, compassion in law enforcement, mercy in law enforcement, intellect in law enforcement, integrity in law enforcement. All those things matter. That you shoot into a house and you're worried that somebody shoots back in the state of Kentucky is foolish. And then to make it even worse, they marched a black man out there. Now he took some very, ladies, sister said, just because, just because, he's the same skin color, don't make him, part of the family. Okay, I get that. But let me add this to it, and I'll move on. I would like to say that serving of a warrant, it was no different than 100-some years ago when the Klan would come burn a cross in front of your house. Because the warrant is not just served to serve a warrant. It's meant to serve notice to everybody around that we come to make sure that we control this situation. They're talking about an investigation that had gone on several years. Your intel isn't good to let you know that this woman is not with the ex-boyfriend that you're investigating? And people are going to come up with all these things. I've heard about a rental car that was involved in some kind of scam, shady activity. No, wrong. See, you don't get to bring in things after you made a mistake. This is a cover-up. This is a cover-up. And when I say cover-up, it means that if I were a layperson to go and look at the laws, go and look at the testimony and the deposition are not going to match up with the police report. The police report is not going to match up with the eyewitness account. Read some of the stuff that's coming from Benjamin Crump, the attorney. And he's a smart guy. You know, he's out there, he's doing this, but he said something really interesting, that when you do a no-knock warrant, it's customary that you have an ambulance on the scene. That you have an ambulance on the scene because things could go wrong, which they did. It said that the police sent the ambulance away. So Sister Brianna not only was shot, but she bled out over a period of 20 minutes. She got no medical attention. Therein lies the rub, brothers and sisters. Therein lies the problem. And that question I talked about, that issue yesterday about justice, it does not go away. Let me throw that up here. Yeah. Well, law enforcement, Sister Salim is concerned with assets. And if we can't control our assets, then we'll make new assets. After Reconstruction, if you can't enslave Black people, you'll come up with vagrancy laws that allow you to take control over their personage. So now you are a vagrant. You are a, what is it? Say it with me. You are property of the state. I can do with you as I want to. And it still continues right now with inmates today. Let me get back to my list. My number one, and I didn't put it down here because I had 2 through 7. My number one thing that annoys me with America is on a consistent basis, myself, my brothers and sisters, my Native American brothers and sisters, my Latino brothers and sisters, my poor brothers and sisters, America has capitulated to me and all of you that we will not let you be safe or feel safe. We will not let you be safe or feel safe. And when you feel safe, we'll give you a George Floyd. We'll give you a Breonna Taylor. We'll give you an Ahmaud Arbery. You'll give your brother Muhammad Jr. down in Arizona. We'll give you all of these people that let you know that we can get at you. We can get at you with impunity. On this case, immunity. But it's about the same thing, isn't it? Impunity, immunity. It's just the fact that they could do it. Just the fact that an officer can run your tags and come up with something. Well, that's abuse of the law. If I'm living my life, all of a sudden, and it can't be to this point where it's just so arbitrary. Police work, brothers and sisters, is complicated work, but it has a baseline. My cousin, my older cousin, used to be a policeman. And what happened was the police department, when they went looking for victims within the police department, he was one of their targets. But he told me something one time, and he said, "Preach, cousin," he said, "let me tell you something about law enforcement." He said, "Law enforcement is so locked in step with the judicial systems of local government and state government that law enforcement can't lose. They can't afford to be seen as losers." He told the cat, he said, he told a story one time of a drug dealer that they were trying to lock up for quite a long time. They could never catch him with the drugs. And one day the sergeant says, "Today is his day, he's going down." And so they caught the drug dealer. And of course, he's like, "What do y'all want me for?" He's cocky, "I don't have any drugs. But let me lay the scenario for you." The sergeant said, "We don't need you to have drugs. We need officers of the law sworn to uphold the law and the duty and all of that, to protect and serve. He said, all we need to do is witness that you had drugs. He said, I don't understand. And so the sergeant went and took, according to my cousin, several bags of crack cocaine, walked over to the drug dealer. Now, he was a drug dealer. They couldn't catch him legally. Dig this. He literally took bags of cocaine and said, how many years in prison do you want to go? He said, in multiples of 5. He said, 5, 10, 15, 20. And he correlated when he was throwing the crack. 25, 30. Guys said, what are you doing? Lo and behold, when he went to court, they said, we caught him with 6 bags of crack cocaine. And when he looked around the room, the drug dealer, he didn't have anybody that could attest to him not having the crack. The only people that could attest to happen were the officers that watched it happen. And he's doing at least 25 to 30, brothers and sisters. That's the law. That's America. Now, I'm not holding up for any drug dealer, but if you don't catch them with the drugs at that point in time, there's a thing called due process. If you're going to get them the right way. And for the rest of us, black folk and everybody in between, and white folk too, let me say something to white folk. You stood by in the 40s and saw black people get kicked in the teeth. You did it in the 50s, you did it in the 60s, and in the 70s, you know what? It was a little bit easier. And in the 80s, you know, we like the music and, you know, we like the hairstyle in the 90s, we like the gangster rap, 2000s, 210s, 220s. Oh my gosh, I'm outraged too. You know why? Because whiteness is not working for you. Ain't been working for us, but it's not working for you. And now you feel like I have an absolute entitlement to feel like a victim too. Move over, Negro. I don't feel pretty. That's what happened. And here we are right now. In the same place. So I hate to sound all NOI-ish, but I'm going to tell y'all something. I plan on separating from the system. If I have to get a patch of land and grow my own fruit and vegetables, if I got to go to shoeing horses and be a blacksmith, I don't want to take anything from this system because it's a corrupt system. And I'm going to say something to the Muslims who are watching. Some of y'all haven't helped either. You parrot, you're just as cowardly as these white folks running around here talking about white power, and you wish you could run around going white power, but you can't. So you just say, I agree with you, and move out of the way while they do whatever the hell they want to the rest of us. So I'm not here to make this thing easy for anybody. I'm going to blame this. And remember we talk about blame. What is blame? B-L-A-M-E? Because looking at me ain't easy. That's why white people can't take the blame. Because looking at me ain't easy. Well, I'm looking at you. And I'm saying, brothers and sisters, do not wait for an election result. Take to the streets now. Form your own committees to make sure ballots are taken where they're supposed to be. When you go to the polls, make sure you vote and everybody else votes too. Don't go home till the last person votes. And when they come get the votes, you go with that person and make sure he's checked with. Make sure a lawyer's checked with him. These people are going to lie, folks. They gotten comfortable with lying. And there's nothing worse than being able to look at somebody and you know they're going to tell a lie and feel helpless that there's nothing to do with it. Donald Trump's been lying for 4 years. You know why he felt like he had impunity? Because he knows the competition is nil because the Constitution protects cowards and the weak. Brothers and sisters, have an incredible weekend. I hope if I said anything that was out of line, forgive me. But you know what? We don't really have time to be. I ain't worried about being in people's emotions. I ain't even in my own emotions. I'm a grown man. And I'm going to say something to my Muslim brothers. You know what? Some of you Muslim brothers need to buck up and stop acting all butter soft. The game ain't for you. And they look at you as you're soft, and then they go after our sisters. Our job is to protect our sisters. Our sisters protect us. Turn it around, brothers and sisters. I'm not going to say something. I was about to say something, but I caught myself. But I'm going to say all you guys need to dude up and man up. In these matches where you do all this talk about thick and things and stuff like that, that's wonderful, brother. But we're dealing with real talk. So I'm going to sign off. But before I do, thank you, Sisters Atana. Before I do, brothers and sisters, we have an incredible show tomorrow on our Saturday spotlight. We have been lucky and blessed to secure an appearance from brothers Rufus and Jenny. I want to say our celebrity married couple for quite a number of years in our community. They're going to come on the show, and our topic is going to be, but it won't be limited to this. The topic is what's wrong and what's right with love today. What's wrong and what's right with love today. And I'm talking about, everything from our marriages to, our fiancés, it might even be boyfriends, girlfriends. I ain't gonna lie, I know that happens too. But I think also the thing is, love of ourselves. And when are we gonna do that? So listen, tune in tomorrow. Tell people to check it out tomorrow. If you subscribe to the link, and I tell you, if you're new to the show, hit the subscribe button in the link. We have 100 people subscribe, and we're trying to get to 101. See, you got to have expectations. Appreciate everybody. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Protect yourself. This is no joke. Protect yourself. Protect your family. If you have mothers and fathers that are still with you, check on them. There's a war on our elderly. Make sure that they're all right. Make sure they're getting their prescriptions, their foods, anything government related. Make sure that if you can, you take care of it. Don't leave it to the government because it's not an honest system. So with that, I appreciate everybody. Have an amazing day, amazing weekend. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarifa Tar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifatar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.